Listen carefully, because this might be the most important thing you hear all year. Too many of you are walking through life half asleep, making excuses, waiting for the right time, pretending you've got forever. But let me slap you with the truth. Time is not your friend. Every second you waste, someone else is using to get stronger, faster, richer, better. And when you finally wake up, they'll already be miles ahead. Your feelings don't matter. Your excuses don't matter. And nobody's coming to save you. The only thing that matters is what you do right now, today. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. You should be uncomfortable, because comfort is the coffin of greatness. You keep waiting, you keep stalling, you keep telling yourself that one day the fire will magically ignite, that motivation will come crashing through your door like a lightning strike, and suddenly everything will feel easy. That's the biggest lie you've ever sold yourself. Motivation doesn't arrive like a hero in the night. It's a ghost. It's an illusion. It's a drug that works for a moment, then vanishes when you need it the most. If you keep waiting for motivation, you will die waiting. You think the great ones wake up every day buzzing with excitement, fists clenched, eyes shining with passion. No, they wake up tired. They wake up sore. They wake up with doubts. But they do it anyway. That's the difference. They don't wait for the right mood because they know the right mood doesn't exist. They move because the job needs to be done, not because they feel like doing it. That's where you've been getting it wrong. You've been sold this soft, sugar-coated message that success comes when you feel inspired. Wrong. Success comes when you're dead tired, uninspired, frustrated, and still refuse to quit. Success comes when you're in the mud, when it hurts, when you're dragging yourself forward inch by inch, because quitting isn't an option. The road is built on sweat and scars, not good moods. Let's be brutally clear, your feelings are irrelevant. Nobody cares how tired you are. Nobody cares how unmotivated you feel. The world only cares if you showed up or not. Did you do the work or didn't you? That's the scoreboard. That's the truth. Excuses don't get you a trophy. Nobody's handing out medals for who had the best excuse. You either deliver or you disappear. Think about it. How many times in your life have you had the spark of motivation, that rush of energy when you swear to yourself, this time I'll change, this time I'll commit, this time I'll do it? And how long did it last? A day, a week, a month if you were lucky. Then it fizzled out and you went back to the same habits, the same comfort, the same cycle. Why? Because motivation doesn't last. It never does. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Discipline is the engine that keeps moving when the fire burns out. Discipline is the backbone. Discipline is the killer edge. When your alarm goes off in the morning, motivation says, sleep a little longer, you deserve it. Discipline says, get up, there's work to do. When the weights feel heavy, motivation says, you've done enough. Discipline says, do 2 more reps. When the grind feels endless, motivation says, take a break, take it easy. Discipline says, push harder. This is where you grow. Motivation is a voice of comfort. Discipline is a voice of command. And only one of those voices will build the life you want. You're waiting for inspiration to come save you, but no one's coming. Not motivation, not luck, not some magical wave of energy. It's on you every single morning. It's you versus you. The weak you who wants to stay comfortable versus the strong you who wants to build a legacy. And every time you give in to the weak you dig your own grave a little deeper. But every time you crush the weak you and follow discipline, you climb a little higher. That's the war. Every day, every decision, every choice. You know what's crazy? Most people already know what they should do. You know you need to wake up earlier. You know you need to eat better. You know you need to stop wasting time scrolling. Stop running from hard work. Stop making excuses. But you're waiting for a feeling, waiting to want it. That's pathetic. The truth is, you'll never feel like it. You'll never feel ready. You'll never feel comfortable. And that's the whole point. Growth doesn't live in comfort. Growth lives in doing the hard thing, especially when you don't want to. Look at your life right now. Are you where you want to be? If the answer is no, then stop lying to yourself. The reason you're not there isn't because of circumstances, isn't because of luck, isn't because of opportunity. It's because you've been waiting for motivation instead of building discipline. Every day you waste, every chance you let slip, every promise you break to yourself, it stacks and it becomes the weight that buries your future. But here's the good news. The second you stop worshiping motivation and start obeying discipline, everything changes. You no longer care how you feel. You only care what needs to be done. You don't wait for moods. You create momentum, and momentum beats motivation every single time. Because once you start moving, once you start grinding, once you start stacking wins, the feelings follow. You don't need to wait to feel good to start. You need to start to feel good. Action creates emotion, not the other way around. So stop waiting for a spark. Stop waiting for a feeling. Stop waiting for motivation to hold your hand and walk you to success. It won't. It never will. Either you decide today that you'll act regardless of how you feel, or you'll spend the rest of your life watching others pass you by. Discipline over motivation. That's the law. Obey it or stay ordinary forever. You think life is going to stop and wait for you until you feel right. You think opportunities are going to pause at your doorstep until you're finally in the mood to take action. Wake up. Life doesn't care about your feelings. Life is moving whether you're ready or not. While you're sitting around waiting for the right mindset, the right energy, the right time, someone else is out there taking what you want. And when they get it, you'll have the nerve to call it unfair. No, it's not unfair. It's cause and effect. They moved. You hesitated. They acted. You waited. That's the truth you don't want to face. Feelings are liars. They whisper weakness in your ear when strength is required. They tell you you're tired when you've barely scratched your limits. They tell you it's too hard when the truth is you've barely tried. Feelings want you soft. They want you safe. They want you average. And if you keep obeying them, that's all you'll ever be. Average. Another name lost in the pile. Another body in the crowd. Another wasted life that never reached its potential because it didn't feel right. You want to know why the strong rise? It's not because they never feel fear, never feel doubt, never feel pain. It's because they move forward despite it. They put their feelings in the back seat and put discipline in the driver's seat. They don't care if they're tired. They don't care if they're stressed. They don't care if the world tells them they can't. They get up, they fight, and they keep moving. That's why they win. That's why they separate from the rest. You've got to stop making decisions based on emotions. Do you understand how dangerous that is? Decisions based on emotions are decisions based on weakness. Anger makes you reckless. Fear makes you hesitant. Comfort makes you lazy. The moment you let feelings dictate your actions, you hand over control. You've just become a slave shackled by your own mind. And nothing is more pathetic than a human being capable of greatness who chooses to be a prisoner of their emotions. You need to flip the script. Instead of feelings controlling you, you control them. Instead of reacting, you respond. Instead of breaking down under pressure, you stand tall and demand more of yourself. Every single one of us is going to face moments when emotions scream louder than reason. Pain will beg you to quit. Fear will demand you run. Doubt will insist you don't belong. And in that moment, you either give in or you prove to yourself that your will is stronger than your feelings. That's the battle. That's the war. Think about how many opportunities you've already lost because of feelings. You didn't speak up because you felt nervous. You didn't try because you felt afraid. You didn't finish because you felt tired. You didn't commit because you felt uncertain. All those feelings robbed you of progress, robbed you of growth, robbed you of the future you could have built, and you let it happen. You handed over your destiny to emotions that disappear the next day. How much longer are you going to keep paying that price? Understand this, the world respects results, not reasons. People admire resilience, not excuses. You can cry, you can complain, you can tell yourself you didn't feel ready, but nobody's handing out medals for who felt the worst. The only thing that matters is whether or not you stood up and delivered. History remembers action. History forgets hesitation. Every time you ignore your feelings and do the work anyway, you're building power. You're training yourself to separate from the noise in your head and focus on the mission. That's how champions are built. They're not built in moments of comfort. They're built in moments of defiance. They defy their own weakness. They defy their own fear. They defy every excuse that tries to crawl its way into their mind. That's how they carve out a place for themselves at the top. So the next time your feelings tell you to quit, to rest, to slow down, to give in, you know what you need to do. You look those feelings dead in the eye and you move forward anyway. That's control. That's power. That's the line between the ones who talk about success and the ones who live it. You say you want success, but the second you don't feel like it, you fold. That's the disease right there. You've built a habit of surrendering to your emotions. If you're tired, you rest. If you're stressed, you stop. If you're scared, you run, and then you wonder why nothing changes. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Your feelings don't matter to the universe. The world isn't waiting for you to feel ready. The opportunities you're craving don't give a damn about your mood swings. They come and go, and if you're not prepared to act, they'll pass you by and never return. Feelings are fleeting. They shift like the weather. One moment you're motivated, the next you're lazy. One moment you're confident, the next you're doubting yourself. If your life is directed by these fluctuations, then you're not living with control, you're being controlled. Think about how insane that is. You're letting temporary emotions dictate permanent outcomes. You're letting a mood that lasts 5 minutes sabotage goals that could define your entire life. The people who rise to the top are not superhuman. They don't wake up every day feeling unstoppable. They wake up just like you, with doubts, with fears, with days when they'd rather stay in bed. But here's the difference: they don't care. They push through. They've trained themselves to ignore the emotional noise and lock in on what has to be done. That's the separation. That's why their names are remembered while others vanish into obscurity. Stop confusing feelings with truth. Just because you feel weak doesn't mean you are weak. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you can't act with courage. Just because you feel unmotivated doesn't mean you can't show up and do the work. Feelings are not facts. They're impulses. They're signals, but they're not commands. The mistake most people make is treating them like orders, like they're obligated to obey every emotion that shows up. That's why most people are stuck, spinning in circles, never breaking free. You have to harden yourself. You have to build the muscle of discipline so strong that it overpowers the whispers of your emotions. Discipline is the antidote to feelings. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, angry, sad, or distracted. Discipline only asks, did you do the work or not? Did you execute or did you fold? That's it. That's the measure of progress. That's the measure of power. Understand this: every single time you allow feelings to dictate your choices, you're building weakness. You're teaching yourself that comfort is more important than growth. You're programming your brain to avoid pain, to avoid effort, to avoid anything that stretches you. And once that becomes your default, it's nearly impossible to break free. But if you start making the opposite decision, ignoring your emotions and taking action anyway, you're building resilience. You're programming yourself to fight, to endure, to win. That's the difference between the fragile and the unbreakable. Think about your heroes, the people you admire. Do you think they got where they are by waiting in for the right mood? Do you think they achieved greatness by obeying every lazy impulse? No, they got there by smashing through the wall of emotions that tries to stop every single one of us. They got there by refusing to negotiate with their feelings. They got there by understanding one brutal truth: feelings lie, but actions don't. And here's the irony: when you stop obeying your feelings, you actually start to control them. When you show up and put in the work despite being tired, you create energy. When you move forward despite fear, you build confidence. When you stay disciplined despite doubt, you strengthen belief. Action rewires emotion, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel good before acting. You act, and the good feelings follow. That's the reversal. That's how you take back control. So the next time you feel like quitting, I want you to remember this: that feeling is temporary, but damage of obeying it is permanent. The regret will last longer than the tiredness. The disappointment will last longer than the fear. The shame will last longer than the discomfort. Don't let a 5-minute emotion cost you a lifetime of results. You want power? Then stop being a slave to your emotions. Start being the master. Start making decisions based on what must be done, not on how you feel in the moment. That's how you rise. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you build a life no one can take from you. You've been told your whole life to follow your heart, to trust your feelings, to listen to your emotions. That's the softest advice you could ever follow. And it's why so many people stay stuck where they are. Let's rip the sugarcoating off. Your feelings are unreliable. They fluctuate with no consistency, no logic, no loyalty to your dreams. One day you wake up fired up, ready to conquer the world. The next day, for no reason at all, you're drained, sluggish, and doubting yourself. And if you let that inconsistency run your life, you'll never get anywhere. Success requires a level of emotional control that feels almost ruthless. It demands that you treat your feelings like background noise, not commands. When your body says, stay in bed, you get up anyway. When your mind says, take it easy, you push harder. When fear tells you, don't take the risk, you do it anyway. That's the separation line, the line between people who play life safe and people who play life to win. The trap most people fall into is waiting until they feel ready, waiting until motivation magically strikes, waiting for the stars to align, for the mood to hit, for the timing to feel perfect. But guess what? That moment almost never comes. Waiting for feelings to cooperate is like waiting for the wind to blow you across the ocean. You'll drift forever, but you'll never arrive. You don't wait for emotions. You act in spite of them. And here's the truth. The people who win in life aren't fearless, and they aren't immune to doubt or exhaustion. They simply refuse to let those feelings make the final decision. They've built a system, a structure, a discipline that overrides emotions. It's not about being robotic. It's about being consistent. It's about knowing that the work you put in matters more and matters than the mood you're in. Think about it. How many times have you let a single feeling sabotage weeks, months, even years of effort? You get discouraged, so you stop. You get tired, so you quit early. You feel insecure, so you don't take the shot. That one emotional decision didn't just waste a moment. It delayed your progress, stole your momentum, and reinforced weakness. That's the true cost of obeying feelings. It multiplies failure. On the flip side, every time you ignore a negative feeling and act anyway, you gain strength. You teach yourself resilience. You prove to yourself that you're not a puppet to your emotions. You're the master of them. And the more you repeat that, the stronger the habit becomes. It's like training a muscle. The more you flex it, the bigger it gets. Emotional discipline is no different. Here's the brutal part. Life doesn't pause to accommodate your feelings. The clock doesn't stop ticking because you're sad, unmotivated, or tired. The world moves forward whether you do or not. And while you're sitting around waiting for your emotions to line up, someone else is out there grinding, ignoring their feelings, stacking wins, and leaving you behind. That's the reality. You don't get extra credit for your emotions. You only get results for your actions. So ask yourself, do you want to be ruled by your feelings, or do you want to rule over them? Do you want to live like a puppet pulled in every direction by fear, laziness, and doubt? Or do you want to be the one pulling the strings, directing your life with power, with intention, with dominance? The truth is, you're not going to feel like it most of the time. That's normal. Stop waiting for feelings. Stop treating them as truth. Stop worshiping them like gods. They're just noise, and the sooner you treat them that way, the faster you'll move forward, because at the end of the day, results don't care about how you felt. They only care about what you did. And if you want to build a life that matters, if you want to crush the doubts, silence the critics, and rise above mediocrity, then you have to make one decision. Feelings don't run me. I run me. That's the mindset. That's the weapon. That's the difference between those who dream and those who dominate. You say you want success, but then you let your emotions decide how far you go. That's the biggest contradiction in your life right now. You think greatness is built on convenience, on comfort, on feeling good every step of the way. It's not. Greatness is built when you stop caring about how you feel and start caring about what needs to be done. That's the difference between the people who rise and the people who rot. Here's the reality. Your feelings are not loyal to your goals. They don't care about your future. They don't care about your potential. Feelings care about one thing: comfort. They exist to protect you from discomfort, from risk, from pain. That means every time you listen to your emotions, you're choosing short-term comfort over long-term power. You're letting weakness win. How many times have you promised yourself you'd stay consistent? How many times have you sworn that this time you wouldn't quit? And then the second fatigue kicks in, or fear whispers in your ear, you fold. That's not life beating you. That's you beating yourself. That's you letting feelings hijack your future. Winners understand something the average person refuses to accept. If feelings are irrelevant, winners don't ask themselves, do I feel like it? They ask themselves, did I execute or not? Discipline becomes their North Star, not emotions. They wake up tired, but they move anyway. They feel doubt, but they attack anyway. They want comfort, but they choose sacrifice. And because of that, they separate themselves from everyone else who's still stuck negotiating with their emotions. Let's get real for a moment. Do you think the people who build legacies never had bad days? Do you think they never felt weak or insecure or hopeless? Of course they did. The difference is they didn't stop there. They refused to bow down to emotions. They refused to let a passing storm inside their mind destroy the empire they were building outside it. They knew one undeniable truth. The work doesn't care about how you feel. It only cares if you show up. Your emotions will try to trick you. They'll tell you, take a break, you deserve it. They'll whisper, you're not ready, maybe tomorrow. They'll scream, it's too hard, quit now. And if you listen, you're done. You'll stay stuck in mediocrity while others lap you, not because they had it easier, but because they didn't let their feelings vote on their future. Every time you ignore your feelings and choose action instead, you grow stronger. You're teaching your mind that emotions don't control you. You control them. You're building resilience, grit, and toughness that no excuse can break. That's how champions are built, not by feeling good, but by showing up regardless of how they feel. Stop waiting for the perfect mood. Stop waiting for the emotional green light. It's not coming. The perfect time doesn't exist, and the perfect feeling doesn't exist either. The only thing that exists is the choice you make in the moment: surrender or execute. That's it. And if you keep choosing surrender, don't expect greatness to knock on your door. Here's the cold truth: you'll never regret doing the work, but you will regret listening to your feelings. You'll regret the workouts you skipped, the opportunities you passed, the risks you avoided because you didn't feel like it. Those regrets will eat at you longer than any temporary discomfort ever could. But if you ignore those feelings, if you choose discipline over emotion, you'll build a life you're proud of. So understand this: feelings don't decide your future, you do. Stop being controlled by moods that last minutes and start building results that last a lifetime. Stop letting emotions hold the pen and start writing your own story with action, with discipline, with consistency. That's how you break through. That's how you rise. That's how you prove once and for all that your feelings are powerless against your will. You think the world is going to wait for you to feel ready. You think success is going to politely knock on your door when your emotions finally line up. Wake up. The world doesn't care about your feelings. Success doesn't care about your feelings. Life doesn't pause while you sit around trying to convince yourself you're in the mood. It keeps moving with or without you. And if you keep obeying your emotions, it will leave you behind. Feelings are weak leaders. They change by the minute. One moment you're confident, the next you're drowning in doubt. One moment you're fired up, the next you're dragging your feet. If you let those mood swings steer the wheel, you'll crash before you ever get close to your destination. You cannot trust your feelings to take you anywhere worth going. What you can trust is discipline, consistency, and the relentless decision to act no matter what. Stop treating emotions like commands. They are suggestions, bad ones most of the time. Your mind will tell you quit, but quitting won't get you anywhere. Your body will scream rest, but you're not even close to your limit. Fear will whisper, don't try. But the truth is, not trying guarantees failure. You need to stop entertaining these lies. You need to stop negotiating with weakness. Every time you argue with your feelings, they win. The only response is action. Action kills excuses. Action silences feelings. Think about the most defining moments in your life. Were they born out of comfort? Were they born out of waiting for the right mood? No, they came from moments when you ignored everything screaming at you to stop and chose to push through anyway. That's where breakthroughs happen, on the other side of resistance. The pain, the fear, the doubt, they are all signals that you are on the edge of growth. But instead of seeing them for what they are, you retreat, you pull back. And every time you do that, you stay stuck exactly where you are. The ones who win understand this simple truth. Feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. The fatigue will pass, but the strength you build stays. The fear will fade, but the courage you gain lasts. The doubt will dissolve, but the confidence you earn becomes unshakable. Every time you act against your emotions, you are making a deposit into the bank of resilience. And over time, that resilience becomes your competitive advantage. You want to stand out? Then stop doing what everyone else does. Everyone else complains. Everyone else gives in when they're tired, scared, or lazy. Everyone else lets their feelings run the show. You want to be different? Prove it. Show the world that you are willing to do what others won't. Show the world that you will not bow to your emotions. Show the world that you are in control. You have to be ruthless with yourself, ruthless with your excuses, ruthless with the lies your emotions feed you. Because if you're not, you'll keep sabotaging yourself, and you won't even need enemies. The war inside your head will take you out before the world ever does. The fight isn't out there, it's in here. It's between your will and your feelings. And if you let your feelings win, your future loses. So stop waiting to feel good. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the right mood, the right moment, the right energy. None of that matters. What matters is that you act. What matters is that you move. What matters is that you refuse to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions about your life. Because here's the final truth. Either you master your feelings or your feelings master you. And once they master you, they own you. They control your time, your effort, your future. And if that doesn't make you furious, if that doesn't light a fire under you to take control right now, then maybe you're not ready for success. Maybe you're not built for the life you claim you want. But if you are, if you're serious, then it's time to make a vow. My feelings don't run me. My actions do. My discipline does. My vision does. From this moment on, emotions are background noise, and I am the one making the decisions. That's how you win. That's how you dominate. That's how you break free. Enough. Stop hiding behind your feelings. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop crying about how hard it is. Nobody cares. Life doesn't care. Success doesn't care. And the world sure as hell doesn't care. The only thing that matters is what you do. Your feelings are not your future. Your discipline is. Your feelings don't pay the price. Your actions do. And every single day, you've got a choice. Surrender to weakness or rise with strength. You think you're tired. You're not. You think you're broken. You're not. You think you can't. That's the lie your feelings keep feeding you, and you've been swallowing it for far too long. You want to change your life, then kill all the excuses. C-R-U-C-H, the doubts. Cis-T-R-N-G-L, the fear. And I-G-N-O-R, every damn emotion that tells you to quit. Your future is screaming for you to fight back. And if you don't, then admit it now. You never really wanted it. But if you're ready, if you're serious, then draw the line today. No more letting feelings run the show. From this moment forward, it's discipline over emotion, action over excuses, domination over hesitation, because that's the only way you win. So get up, take control, and remember this forever: feelings don't define you, atios do. And if you want the world to respect you, fear you, remember you, then stop talking, stop whining, stop waiting, and P-R-O-V-I-T